How you doing, Grant? You hear me? I think you're muted. You just didn't say anything.
Oh, there we go. Hey, man.
How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I think I just made a mistake though. I think I scheduled two events at this time on accident. That's funny, and somehow it won't see this. Or nah, you know what I think happened? It's still sending me the name that it probably was before I changed it. That's the
Oh, yeah.
think of. I'm not sure.
Zoom is always finicky like that.
And I'm using Luma, which like
Mm,
create
mm.
the event and then it creates like the Zoom that's attached to it.
That's right. Yeah.
But I'm getting like two notifications right now, and I'm like, I wouldn't make a mistake like that. I think it's because I changed the name. Yeah, because I took away PWA
Oh,
at
I'm sure.
the time, so it's all good. I just want to double check on that. Just how you doing, AJ?
Good morning.
How you doing? How's your morning going?
Just started, man. Um, just waiting for that coffee to kick in.
Got you. Got you. Grant, were you here yesterday or the day before? No, is this your first day?
I think this is my first one.
This
Yeah.
your first day? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you in the Gamma community?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got you. Okay. Well, nice to meet you.
Yeah, man. Likewise. Likewise.
Yeah, I wanted to obviously you're a Gamma user, so this is basically just a probably say this again maybe a couple times. We're a little early, but basically I'm just doing a session of 30 days with Claude Code with a variety of different tools just so people can get a hands-on actual experience. So this kind of workshops are a little different. I know like other workshops are more like they kind of have something planned and then they like wait for questions after. Not kind of really trying to do that. One, I'm trying to see if people most people already pay for Claude and use Claude desktop, but
Oh,
don't
yeah.
use Claude code. So walking through, hey, if you want to get Claude code set up, we'll help you get Claude code set up, make sure everything's installed, and then you actually can do something in the workshop with your own files on the computer, that type of thing, if that makes sense. It's
Yeah,
kind of the
absolutely.
overall goal, so people can actually walk away with something, and then answer other questions. Like some people will probably ask about automation workflows in A10 or Zapier, other things like that, and brainstorming
Cool.
that with Claude Code and other things. So yeah, that's kind of like the
It's just it's bonkers how fast Claude is just taking over now in terms of like it's not even an LLM anymore. It's just like a full workspace assistant.
right, right, right. They need to
Nutty,
make like a Claude workspace, like how Google has it, and then it's just
dude.
all that same
Yeah,
stuff.
it's
How you
crazy.
doing? It's Miss Brittany, correct?
Yes. Hi, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing good, and you? Good morning, or maybe good afternoon, depending on where
It
you're at.
is it is still morning. I'm over in Seattle.
Oh, okay, you're not that far. How's the weather? Is it raining?
It's not, we've actually had a great winter because we've had, well, it depends on who you ask. We have not had very much rain. So for me, it's great. Everyone who goes to the mountains, however, are absolutely upset because there's absolutely no snow in the mountains. Because it hasn't been raining. So yeah, while everybody else is having horrible, horrible winter seasons. We've had a very beautiful one up here.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I do not want to mispronounce your name. Is the last name Ali Polva? I do not want to slaughter your name. Is that?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Oh no, no, you're fine. I just wanted to say good
Yes.
morning. How are you doing?
Yes, you can name me like Bahit. Bahit.
Bahit?
Bahit, yeah.
Bahit? Okay. If I get that wrong, I
It,
apologize. Just
it
just
it's
remind me.
fine, yes. It means happiness, you know.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
amazing.
nice to meet you, happiness.
Nice to meet
Mm,
you.
Good morning, Paul. How you doing?
good, man. What's going on?
I'm doing good. And Hugh, just starting the morning as usual. Just waiting for a couple more people are joining in right now.
No rush.
How you doing, Miss Mosley? I think Adam just joined. Somebody else, Miss Irina.
Hi.
Morning, Miss Irina. Miss Mosley.
Hello.
How
For
you
me,
doing?
it's an evening. I'm from the UK. So it's
Ah,
7
evening.
p.m. So good morning to you. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as
Turn
well.
my camera at some point.
Blake coming in. I'm just letting a few more people come in. You guys probably start like at exactly 11:05. I do have a question to start off. Is there anyone paying for Claude that does not use Claude Code at the current moment? You may only just use Claude Desktop. Is that you, Miss Irina?
No, I
Is,
pay for it, but I use it all.
is that you too, Miss Mosley? You raising your hand?
Yep.
Okay, no problem. So everyone else has Claude Code, or they've been to the other session where we've set that up. It's good. We have somebody else coming in. So I'll give an introduction again. I know many of you through basically different communities. I know a lot of people here are in from the Gamma community. They were happy to share a post. I've been kind of just trying to share helpful information as someone who plays around with the API a lot and stuff like that. And I've recently become a Gamma ambassador, so I kind of wanted to give back. So as I had an idea to build with Claude Code, kind of a hands-on workshop for 30 days, I thought why not include Gamma in there because it's an amazing tool, and I know a lot of people want to automate some things, or they probably have some daily tasks that they use. And I know also Gamma just came out with a connector to use with Claude Desktop, but and not to say that has some limitations, but we'll be specifically playing with Claude Code. So my name is Tylen. I go by Chowder. That is my middle name. I know that's a weird name. I've been a developer for 16 years. I live in Los Angeles. I like to build a lot of things and share information. And yeah, so this will be a little different. Feel free to use the React at the bottom and raise your hand if you have any questions. And it'll be a very kind of simple workshop. My goal is to get people who don't have Claude Code installed yet installed so they can actually, obviously, you have your own files and things that you may be able to play around with and edit. And I'll show you how you can use Claude Code to maybe simply just talked to Claude Code to use with the Gamma API to create things that are already on your device. And then we can go into workflows like on N8N and other things like that. I have an example. I know Miss Brittany in the Gamma community was asking about workflow for a platform called Limitless, which is basically for a device where people have meetings and things like that. So I can go into that and any other questions that you guys have. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Got you. So I think it was three people who said really quick that they pay for Claude, but they don't have Claude Code installed yet. Who was that once again? So that Miss Mosley, Irina. And are you guys on a Windows or a Mac?
Mac for me.
You're on a
But
Mac?
I
Windows.
have code, but just
Go ahead, say that for me one more time.
I have Cloud Code, but I've never tried it because I
Got you.
want to move to Cloud Code, but it's kind of I need to learn. I want to learn. That's why I'm
Okay.
here as well.
Oh, okay, no problem. That's
Yeah,
perfect. So you
and
know,
I'm installing it now.
oh, is it working for you? Like that process
Well, I don't know.
installing?
I've just gotten to the Claude Code docs getting started page.
Got you.
Working on it.
So got you. So let me know if you have any problems running that command in your terminal.
Okay.
And then for the next step for that, if anyone doesn't has Claude Code, of course, you may be familiar, or if you're not familiar with this current term called an IDE, which is basically that's going to allow us to be a little bit more visual friendly. There's a platform called VS Code, which we're going to use. And I'll put the link inside the chat for that if you guys don't have it. Um, for some of the more advanced people, you don't have to use VS Code. Of course, you could use whatever IDE that you choose, but just for this, I'm using Visual Code. And to kind of give a recap, on the first day, we just went through installing Claude Code, kind of like how we're doing now for a majority of the people who didn't have it. And we just went through talking with Claude Code and editing files on our device. So I took a whole grip of PDFs and MP4s, MP3s, Excel sheets, and other things that I've saved as resources. And I actually had that saved into a folder called content, which I'm going to bring up shortly. And for the rest of this demo, I'm kind of going to use what's inside of there and kind of just show you how I would brainstorm and add Gamma into that folder and talk and make workflows and kind of expand from there. So I'm going to open up VS Code. And of course, everybody can follow. So I have a folder here named content. Now, for Miss Irina and Miss Mosley, if you don't have a folder, that's fine. When you come here into VS Code, you're gonna see you're gonna see like some gooply glop. You can just press X and close it out. You can press open folder here. And however you're used to making folders on your device. So for Windows, as an example, you right click, you press new, you can make a new folder.
Can you
When
record this?
this is being recorded.
Okay, great.
Everybody will have these recordings. They're up actually on YouTube already for the first 2 previous days as well, and I'll share that after. So you'll make a new folder, and then you'll press select folder, and then you'll just be able to go into that folder to use that. So I'm looking for a folder called content, which I already have right here, which I'm going to open. And I'll pause and let me know when you guys have it installed, Miss Irina and Miss Mosley, to show you how to actually use Claude Code in 2 different ways. Most people are using the extension here, which is just a little bit better visually. I'm happy to just do this in the terminal. So for anyone who does not know how to start Claude Code, feel free to raise your hand and let me know. How you doing, Eugene? I'll make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. Got you. Are you having like errors, Miss Mosley?
Yep.
Is it saying something about like maybe the path or something like that for you?
Yeah. So now I'm installing Git. It's going to take me a while, so I'll just follow along on the video.
Okay. Any point that like you want me to go back and answer or you miss something, just let me know. But that should be pretty fast within installing some of those prerequisites.
Thanks.
No problem. Same thing for you too, Miss Irina, or anyone else. So what I'm going to do is just something simple. I'm in Claude right now, and by the way, I'm going to be using a tool called Whisper Flow where I just talk and I'm not typing, and it's going to put the words here. So I'm going to say, and I'm also in plan mode, so Shift Tab. We're going to say, hey, I have a bunch of content here that I want to make something out of. I am interested in using a platform called Gamma. Can you do some research? I hear they have an API, and I'm wondering how we can put some of this content to use and create something with that platform. Oh, we're going to do that. I'm going to press enter, and it's going to be in plan mode and go do whatever it's going to do. So it's going to web search right now, doing all that stuff. And by the way, like I said before, in the first session, I had a whole group of files on my computer, and I literally just said, hey, can you go through and get all the PDFs? Can you get all the MP3s and organize it in a kind of business way in categories, right? So I have like training materials here. You can see audio. There's a whole grip of audio files here. I have PDFs here. I have videos here, kind of just to give context on what's on the left side here. And also there was a tool that was downloaded called FFmpeg, which just kind of helped extract the audio from that and made transcripts, which you can kind of see here, which kind of have like uh obviously like the whole timeline of the video, what we talked about of the last 2 days, which we're going to use and put that in Gamma to kind of format. So as you can see, it's literally going through the docs. Let me explore your content structure a bit more and check the Gamma API documentation for integration patterns. And if anyone has like questions about the API specifically, feel free to ask. I think what's cool about tools like Claude Code here is like one, it has access to all of your files and stuff. So before you get in even into making workflows, if that's not kind of your expertise, you kind of get to like experience that process, I guess, in a way. So now it's going to be asking me questions like, hey, what type of content do you want to create with Gamma? I'm going to select all of these because this kind of knows me already. So we got training presentations, business pitch decks, marketing content, technical documentation on websites. I could put something here to be more specific. I'm just going to press enter. Which source material should we prioritize? So do we want JSON files? Do we want the raw PDFs? Do we want transcripts from audio and video? Or do you want to generate blogs? Now you can click on any one of those. I'm just going to say, can you create a team of agents to kind of go through that and build and work in parallel? It's going to say Gamma access. Do I have access to this? Yes, I do. I do have access and I do have my API key. Can you create me a .env local file and I will paste my API key there to be used? And what that's basically doing is, obviously, if you don't know what an API key is, in order to access a platform when you're not in the platform, it's basically your password. And the reason why I was kind of specific on saying .env local file, this kind of technical term, is one, you don't want to give your password to the large language model. So don't make it a habit. If you, some people probably have, and it's fine, but you don't want to give away basically your API keys. I'm going to be showing my API key in this presentation today. It's fine. I'm going to delete it after, but you don't want to put it in the chat because it can just spit it out in another chat. It's not a good practice. So I have it actually make that file, which I'm going to show in a minute when it makes it on the side here when I clean this up. And then I'm just going to paste that key there. And then it's going to act as a variable to always be used whenever I'm in this folder working with Claude Code to use the API. Same way as later on I'm showing N8N or make, you would put your API key, it's saved kind of as an environmental variable. So when this automation runs, you know, Gamma's going to generate whatever it may be. Oh, and I also forgot to say, this actually created some agents by its, hopefully you guys can't hear my gardener outside. This created a team of agents for my content specifically on the first call, on the first workshop when it just was extracting information. So it made a content extractor, a content generator, it made a knowledge base builder, it made a media processor, it made a transcription orchestrator. And I actually didn't ask for any of those things when I asked for it to just pull the content. It just kind of came up and started doing that by itself. And mind you, we're still in plan mode, still making this plan that it, before we approve it, where it actually starts building out what's needed. So we can just, you know, maybe run a script, which I'll talk about later, or rerun. We'll see it like populating Gamma, and then we go into like, oh, how would I put this inside of N8N? Or how would I put this inside of Make or Zapier? Or maybe you want to, you know, vibe code a platform for yourself that, you know, whatever the case may be, landing page, somebody fills out something, Gamma generates something and spits something out. So I know I've already said any questions so far about anything that I said while this is still making this plan. Well, yeah. In plan mode. I did give a tip because sometimes I guess this can be kind of boring, especially when it's in plan mode. I need to minimize this here. You can actually open up different terminals, or if you're using the web extension, you can open up a different web extension. And you can actually run different Claude Code sessions in parallel if you wanted to do something else. So like as an example, just kind of showing it as an example, I won't go into like building this. If I wanted to even just think about just brainstorm how I would build a platform for Gamma, I could do that. So I could say, hey, I'm thinking about an idea where I can upload a file or put some content and have a front end that is integrated with Gamma, where it would spit out social content or business pitch decks or anything kind of related to that. How would I go about that process? And we'll come back to that a little bit later. So now this is saying, hey, I'm on the final plan of creating what it is, and I can actually do slash. You press slash in Claude Code, you'll get a variety of commands here. Usually you can do slash plan, and it will actually allow you to see what plan or all the different type of plans that Claude Code made. Just in general, you can use some of these plans for Claude Code to reference, like if you start a new chat session or any of those things like that.
Hey, Colin, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, of course.
I hope I don't interrupt. Finally, I made it today.
You're fine. How you doing?
Put everything aside and at least a few minutes. Enjoy the company. Would you recommend to move? I see it's Microsoft terminal with a cloud inside, right?
This right here, I'm using VS Code, yes, specifically.
Oh, so yeah, it's Microsoft with the
Yeah.
cloud inside.
Mm-hmm.
Would you? I started to play with the anti-gravity. It's kind of cool tool, especially for NNA. It does like a magic trick pretty much whatever you want to. Fix the NNA flows, find errors, fix them, build it, update it, edit it. Would you recommend to move VS Code to the cloud when you build something for customers?
I mean, to be honest, so
My reason and concern is because when we install VS Code with the cloud code on our computer, it might or might not have access to all our files and folders and information.
are
And
you saying
sometimes
like
we just click.
are you I get what you're saying, like you're on a different computer in general, not from like the same location?
Yeah, so I would have, let's say, remote access to the project, and it's not on my computer. And VS Code or cloud does not have access or might not
You
have
would
access to
you
the
could have it
folders.
uploaded to you could have it uploaded to GitHub and just pull the GitHub while you're doing that remote access, because I'm assuming like you have access to all the files and stuff like that. So you could just make a new folder where it would pull that GitHub that would, wherever you first created that project, right? VS Code, Windsurf, it doesn't matter. They're all IDEs. You still need GitHub or would use GitHub for versioning or whatever. So I'm kind of in the same situation where I leave my laptop here and I go to my brother's house. And if I just happen to forget my laptop here for whatever reason, I already have, everything's pushed to GitHub. So I can just go to his computer. I don't even have to use an IDE, right? I can still use Claude Code by itself in the terminal and just make a new folder on his computer and pull in that information. With anti-gravity, I haven't used it. I'm not sure if it syncs with GitHub or how that works, but I guess my answer would be as long as you're using GitHub, you'd be able to pull in or grab whatever you needed, whether it was remote access or just on that actual device, like physically.
Yeah, I was thinking more about like a digital ocean to make um, how do they call it? Not instance. Forgot. Not the bucket. They call it something else.
Like a
And
server.
moved.
Container.
Uh, they call it something different, but it's the same concept. Yeah, to move. Yeah, install first the.
Like a container.
They don't call it container. They call it something else.
Is it just
Not
like to deploy
instant.
something for the front end or
Drop. They call it
oh, a
droplet.
droplet? Yeah, you could
Yeah.
use a droplet. Or it could be
You install
containerized
it.
on the other end. Same thing. You're using a GitHub repo at the end, whether it's a droplet or in a Docker container to deploy it to be used.
My thought process is when I have this inside the container, it only has information to whatever I supply to and nothing else. That's my reasoning. So if I build something specifically like a project for like a SaaS or something, it has only access to specific tools and nothing else. So if something
Um,
happens like, I don't know, leak or, I mean, we live in a dangerous time.
I
So
think
it's,
I might have an answer, but I just have to think more on that and get back to you to fully like understand what you're asking. That makes sense.
Dylan,
I mean,
if you would access that project from GitHub, let's say from your cousin's computer, and you
Mhm.
do it through the terminal, do you still have to give it access to the local file, so not computer? I think Eugene's concern is wherever he's going to access the files, do you have to provide Claude access to local files? Because
Um,
otherwise, he wants to totally insulate himself if for the
yeah.
development.
got you. Hopefully, if I'm understanding correctly, like you could, 'cause I don't want to get too technical. In that GitHub, like it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's Dockerized or a droplet, you can always pull from it. And that is, of course, right, its own isolated environment. It could have firewalls. However you run Claude Code through there or whatever CLI like tool, you could achieve that outcome that I think that you're trying to describe.
Do you practice that or you just build everything on your computer and
Yeah, so
maybe?
I have the curse of just regular local development. I always build everything locally first and then push it to the cloud. And kind of like an example like this, I'm not sure I fully understand, but I wouldn't need to I'm not worried about like doing all those things on the cloud, if that kind of makes sense. I'm fine with like things being local first. And if I'm thinking of a plan or knowing that like this is going to be deployed in any type of way, then it would be on GitHub. If I know I'm never going to deploy it to GitHub, it just stays on my local computer on Git. And I probably wouldn't even be going to my brother's like that project. I wouldn't even be using when I go to my brother's house, if that makes sense, because it's not deployed to GitHub. It would be like a super personal project.
Yeah, as long as you have a relatively fast CPU and GPU can handle that load, that's my second reason not to overload the laptop that I
Right.
have because it takes a lot of resources to process. In my case, I want to have DigitalOcean, for example, serve it to process that load instead of my laptop.
Gotcha. Yeah, I might have to think on that and give you a better answer. At the moment, my
Cool.
brain is kind of fried.
Yeah, I understand. And when you have a chance, start to play with the anti-gravity. It's really powerful tool.
Got you. So what Claude Code did after this super long plan, right? Obviously, in plan mode, before it does anything, it's gonna, you know, come back to you. And sometimes a lot of people just press enter on this. I think it's worth just trying to go through it and whatever part you understand is good, whatever part you don't understand, you can just ask. So it's saying, hey, this is gonna be in this folder. It's making like a new architecture. So it's making, I guess, another agent called a Gamma publisher, right? And then it's talking about some output. We have presentations, document, web pages, social posts. I'm figuring that it's pulling that from the Gamma API because there's different ways to like make a Gamma or present a Gamma. It's saying the files that it needs to create, the .env file that I talked about, some other files that are going to take that API and kind of make it be able to be active around here. I can see that it's getting the base URL. And just really quick, because I know some of this is second nature to me, I'm going to go to the Gamma page, but you would ask, hey, verify things like this. Obviously, there's a lot more. I just scrolled down. But in terms of like this API, because I know there's a lot of people who are not familiar with it, right? And I didn't even give it the API page, but I could just come to the Gamma API, I'm taking my time here a little bit, and just go through some of this and verify whether I took the actual URL and put it back inside of here and gave it to Claude Code. But I've seen this a couple of times. Most of that looks pretty correct. I know the main thing is Gamma is using version 1 now. They're not like in beta anymore. So this main thing is correct. It's saying these are the required parameters. It's saying the input tokens. Okay, that's cool. And all of this other stuff. These are just phases of agent implementation of this actually building what this is going to be. So I'm actually going to let that do that. And that's going to fly around and make that, which is actually going to be really interesting. So first, what I actually need to do is I actually need to go get my Gamma API key. And that was not where I was supposed to go for some reason. So that's not where I was trying to go. Ooh, why? Anytime I type in Gamma, it always logs in here. No, it doesn't want to log in. If people don't know where to get their API key, you would come here, you would come to API key, you would create a key. I'm gonna just create a new one and just name this code challenge. So I'm gonna delete this later and I'm just gonna copy this because there is a file here. So what will happen is it'll make it a .env file. This won't actually work. It needs to be a .local file. And then it'll actually be able to be pulled like in this environment. So let me come back here. Then I'm just literally going to put my API key. And whenever you are changing files like this right here, you actually need to come up to the top and save this because it doesn't like save by itself. And I don't know if anybody kind of noticed, you can kind of tell that if I change, like just because I erased that, we see like this one is here now. And if I press save, that's how I know it's being saved and it's like saved there. Just when you play around with these variables because it doesn't kind of happen by itself. And sometimes the AI will know to fix it or ask you, but sometimes it might go into like a just weird loop where it's saying like, I don't read it, the environmental variable, and I see it there, and it's because you didn't press save, which is you'll get stuck for like 10 or 30 minutes for no apparent reason and you laugh at yourself later or laugh at that situation later. And it's asking for my Anthropic key, which of course it needs, which is actually interesting. I'm not sure why it needs my Anthropic key when it itself is going to be able to do those things. So I'm actually not going to put anything in there because that would be interesting just to see what that is. And kind of to talk about some of this course material that's here for me specifically. I like to just kind of give a different perspective and demystify playing around with technology, especially like no-code tools and platforms. I believe like on a hands-on approach. And these are just some audio files kind of talking about that and that I kind of want to make like educational content on. And then sometimes like a specific example here, I had somebody ask me about building a platform that creates RFPs. So I would go and download a group of RFPs and then, work with that here and build something on from there with Claude Code, whether it be like in a folder like this or different folder, just to talk about some of the weird documents that I have here. I know other people might have like Excel spreadsheets or did you want to say something?
Once again, still glad we got them.
But yeah, and I have like some other things that actually like other people share, like AI audits and stuff like that. And I always think those are good to be turned into presentations. I know one big one for me, the last like 2.5 years, I've been working on a lot of voice projects. So making like a voice proposal template or kind of like walkthrough of what I would be giving that client and what to expect during a build. Cool things like that. I don't have. So this is almost going to be finished, which is exciting. And I think this says it took about 10 minutes, so it's not that long. Of course, there's a whole group of stuff here. Don't to know about. Miss Irina and Miss Mosley, are you guys good?
You have to be on the pro plan, right? In order to use this in Gamma?
Of course, $25 a month. Let's actually go to that right now and confirm what that is. Gamma pricing. So if you were going to pay monthly, yes, that is the $25 a month plan right there. It isn't bad, to be honest. I like it. Cannot complain. I need to use Gamma inside of the platform more sometimes, but I'm just so used to using the API and doing other stuff. They have some other features coming soon to the API that I'm hearing that I'm excited about, like the remix feature, possibly. Should be great. So this is going to be done. Cool. I'm just going to have it generate some stuff and see what it generates. But I need to ask it, just going back, one thing I want to kind of make it a habit of is like, if you, obviously there are going to be things here that you don't understand or it's going to do or install. Just ask us if you're not sure what's going on and try to get the best explanation. So for like me, even though I kind of have a very good guess of why I put an Anthropic API key here, because when it probably goes through whatever kind of workflow that it created, it's going to probably use Anthropic instead of using like itself as Claude Code. I'm not sure if that even made sense, that even sound right in the request to like generate whatever the gamma is going to be. And then it's creating a README file to explain all of this stuff. And I don't know if inside of here you can like generate this way better, but that's fine. We can look at it like this. So it's giving a README file of everything it said, right? It said we made these files, here's the output structure. In order to do anything locally, you're gonna see something that says install dependencies or stuff like that. Claude will always take care of that stuff for you. And then it says says I can batch process or I can publish everything at once, which I'm not going to do because I'm probably going to hit Gamma's API limits. And I'm just taking a wild guess. Maybe because it knows those requests, it read the documentation, or I could ask, right? Just kind of giving different things out there at once. But it kind of has this setup of, you know, how to use this. So I'm going to say, I just want to, first off, did anybody want to say something or have a question before I say something?
Go for it.
I just want to create maybe 10 examples and see what's going on. But before I do that, can you let me know why we are using an Anthropic API key? Are you not going to make the request yourself? I just want to clarify. All right, so it's going to say, hey, this is optional. Uh, it's only using one optional scenario. Long transcripts, if transcripts are more than 550,000 characters, the system could use Claude API to summarize it before sending to Gamma. This is optional. The code will just truciate long transcript if no Anthropic key is present. Correct. I don't make actual API calls. The Python scripts you run locally will make the API calls. Okay, cool. All right. made your local scripts using your Gamma API key. If provided, yes, I provided that. Then it gave some examples. I think it, okay, it's trying to read that like .env file again, but I renamed it to .env local. So now it's like looking forward to like probably run an example right now of just one thing to show me of how it works because I asked that question. Which is things it'll do like in not plan mode. It'll just kind of run amok, which is not a bad thing sometimes, even though you will hear me say you should definitely use plan mode to do stuff. But as you see, I'm kind of like guessing it's literally just probably going to do a test right now and run through something because I asked that for that explanation. All right, so it says I created a script for 10 presentations. Probably got an error right there. It's going to fix itself. Yeah, it's updated now. Mom, can you tell Uncle John I'm in a workshop? Can you tell Uncle John I'm in a workshop? So searching for two patterns. And actually has a little trigger if you're like actually curious to see what's going on in this little AKA brain that it has, you can do Control O. Oh no, I hope I didn't break it. Or maybe it just didn't come out with the response that it needed to. Oh no, yeah, it's still like thinking right here. Okay, so it didn't do anything yet, but you could do that. That's Control O. And I'm pressing this too many times when it's delayed. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's say now, see, I have two PDFs. Let me create a simpler test using my PDF files instead. So what this is doing, what's also cool about Claude Code, these like small things in the middle, it's downloading other libraries, which is whenever like, once again, you create stuff locally, more than likely you're going to download something called a dependency. That could be for a variety of things. I won't get into that. In this example, because I have PDF files and because it chose to use Python to do a lot of things, it's grabbing a known Python library so it can just automatically read those PDFs by itself. Fun fact as well, it will actually do that with Google Drive and files. So if people are familiar with like grabbing a Google Drive file and putting it in Claude Desktop and they'll say like, I can't read it, the CLI will just download what's needed. I'm not sure if it's already programmed inside, but it can just already read what are on those Google files, as well as like little tricks if you're wondering like what are these things or when it says like it's installing libraries and what they're being used for and things like that. Wow. And then it said emojis fixed, so it's adding some emojis here. That's funny. Is there an emoji library? Pretty sure there is. Okay. Close this just so this isn't so scary. Oh, and actually what it did was change, I guess, my earlier I was talking about the .env. If you like was wondering or if you see this change, .env local means that you're testing things locally. And right now we're not going to deploy anything like today, but if you are deploying things or if you're pushing things to production, it would actually look like this just to know the difference between, but they still work the same way. You're basically saying, hey, these are the variables for whatever I'm doing locally to work. In this case, we're using Gamma. So let's see if I can read like more of this in the, oh, that's what happens when you press Control O outside the box. So I press this. Ah, okay. It's trying to read this. Let's, okay, file means it didn't read it yet. I was hoping that it read that first just to see it decoded. See, back to what I said. I'm talking about endpoints. I could have been a little wrong. It said that we're missing something in the endpoint. And it could be something small. It could be something like the theme ID. I didn't say anything specific on purpose, just to kind of go through using Claude Code and fixing problems like this. And it was something very simple. Instead of generations, it should have been generate. Which once again, you always kind of want to double check and just verify on things, even in plan mode. Say like, hey, how do you know? Um, Verify whatever the case may be. Obviously, it'll give a lot of different responses, but don't get used to kind of agreeing to like the first thing that it gives you back, even if something is like actually happening or whatever the case may be. It is doing this in batches. I have to remember, so it's not one by one, but actually, which PDFs do I have here? Was that in business documents or was that in training materials? Oh, growth marketing. So I have these prompts here for ICP. That'll be interesting to see what that makes. Best outreach scripts. That was, I don't even remember. Growth marketing. I don't remember. No code. That would be an interesting one to see. AI automation. That would be interesting to see remade. Pitch to profit. Those are high level. Jeff, you might like to see how those are. And then actually, this one is a high level one for nonprofits, Chamber of Commerce stuff that I like to do. Actually, yeah, those will be actually really interesting. So just troubleshooting and doing its thing. And then after this creates this batch, we can get into workflow style, actually automation platform if I was to, or if you're looking to, I'll show like different ways how you can have Claude Code help you create that for these different platforms and things like that. Yeah, Cloud's making us play the waiting game today a lot. Maybe it's because of Cloudbot, all the agents running around amok, taking up all the resources, making everything slow. Not actually thinking about it and not being funny, I do feel like Claude has actually been significantly slower since Cloudbot. I could be wrong.
Slower since what?
Claudebot.
Hmm.
No, you haven't felt that way? Anybody else? Even for Claude Desktop? I even feel like Claude Desktop has been slow lately.
I haven't noticed that.
No.
I've been cranking through Claude Cowork, which is amazing.
I'm gonna have to try that later. I haven't used it yet. It's like you haven't seen like any speed decrease though. That's good.
Yeah, one of the cool things about that compared to some of the others is, and whenever I try to use the dangerously skip permissions, it
Mhm.
it doesn't work. And I find myself constantly having to click yes, approve, 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 approve for some of the most mundane things.
Right, the simple ones, the web fetching, go into a folder.
Right. I mean, I get it if it's going to make major changes, but outside of that, I don't need to approve all that.
Right.
But I've gone through many different settings to try to take those safeguards away, but it doesn't work. But with Claude Cowork, I can create a folder that has 10 different tasks in it, and it will go through each one systematically. And it will not stop unless the task is finished or there's some egregious reason that it can't complete the project. But it does great work.
Hmm. I'll have to try that later. So this is interesting. Somehow, I guess I've run out of all my credits, which is quite surprising and funny because I just renewed my plan today, and I think I just got like 10,000 credits from the Gamma team. But hold on, where do I go to even see that again inside of my? I thought it usually appears like right here where the Zoom thing is. Is it like invisible now? Okay, so yes, apparently I somehow so one, let's see.
How did you do that?
It did it by
Or is
itself
it
while
just
it was
testing?
testing. Yeah, when it was like building it, it was like already adding these, which is how I ran out of the credits. So right here, this I'm gonna open these in a minute. I'm just going through it, right? So and some of these are duplicates, but you can see like 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. I can tell these are some of the ones. That's so funny.
But are those, is each one of those are full decks?
Yeah, I think it made
It looks like
just
it right there.
something in general. Yeah, so full deck, I was going by like cards. But yeah, it like actually created like a full gamma. And I'm gonna go to show like the example of what this is. So this was like a uh where is this? I'm sorry, give me one moment. Let me go to the actual place this is because you can't like oh no. I yeah, it should be here. So maybe content. And that was 25 chat. Yeah, this here. So this is, and you guys can't see this. Oh my God, it's so terrible. I have to re-download it again and open it. Okay, there we go. So this is just like a PDF, got this like randomly because I turned this into like a automation for Firecrawl, which is a web scraper, which I have a workshop on later. These are 25 prompts for your ICP. You'll probably like this. In a Google spreadsheet, that's all it is. And that's what it turned this into. Or I don't know how like analyze or what it wanted to use, but that was the example that it used right there. And actually, let me duplicate this so I don't have to like keep going back and forth just to like look at some of these examples. And even though I didn't give any specifics, which I wish I would have, and I didn't think that I would somehow run through all my credits, of course, which is determined by like different image models that it may have used that I don't even know what it selected, which I'm not like concerned about or it's bad, but just kind of like that's so funny that it just happened to do that right now. But at least it made like different examples of different things. Let's see, like unlocking government content.
So how do you prevent that from happening? Because I don't know if you
You
knew
would
you were going to have that many decks, but how did you've got a lot of decks there that it looks like the Claude Code just created them, and you didn't
perfect.
necessarily
Yeah, no.
want all of them.
Perfect answer. So that's just me not being more explicit when I was in here while it was making whatever it was trying to in that plan of making the architecture and retesting, if that makes sense. Which is something that's common. I will say, to be honest, from personal experience, it doesn't happen often to where it runs something up. Usually what would happen before is you would hit a rate limit before you would even like max out the credit, but probably because of how it built this, it didn't hit all of those rate limits. It just did everything. Or maybe it didn't hit any rate limits because by the time it tried to do the next test, which failed, I was as you see, I'm like out of tokens correctly. So I know I'm being like really technical here. I feel like because in the API, I believe it tells you how many credits you have left. It perfectly used that information for the parameters in the Gamma API that reduces the credits because depending on the image model, like I think it's Flux is 2 credits. If you use Nano Banana, it might be like 40 or something like that. So I don't know what it specifically used here. I could have said, hey, while you make this orchestration, make sure all of the parameters are using the lowest amount of credits or something like that. That's how you would have stopped that from happening. So going back into looking at some of these examples, and then and just because I'm out of credits doesn't mean still can't like talk about workflows for N8N and stuff. I was just once again showing Claude taking use of content, right? Things that I already have inside of my computer, which is in a folder, and it made a script, which is reusable. So even though it used up all my credits, when I refill my credits and I come back in here, and it grabs new content, it's just going to run it through that script. Now, of course, I can add more things in that script. I can say, hey, this is what I want, your prompt to be. This is how I want you to treat PDFs. This is how I want you to treat transcripts. This is how I want you to treat this. And of course, you can get more advanced because maybe you're serving it as a document. Maybe you're serving it as a web page. You're serving it as many different things, but you're just coming to create something small in this same environment that you're working in right now. So any questions on that before I go into like using it for N8N or make, maybe like you want to actually put that in a content workflow? Miss Brittany, if you want to kind of like ask questions, I know I have like your example kind of like already built. I have a client before who used Limitless who requested an automation like that. I'd be happy to like go into an example like that. Just let me know.
Oh no, I'll let somebody else take it away. But thank you.
Nobody. I'm going to use Limitless as an example, but if anybody has a different platform in mind that they've been thinking about of kind of making an automation with Gamma, I'd be happy to go into that as well.
No, I just have one question. This is Daniel from Northwest Arkansas.
How you doing, Daniel?
Hey, good. Thank you so much for putting this together. It's been really enlightening. So I built a really great Gamma website that when I took it into VS Code and Claude, they gave me a very generic website. So can I do the reverse? Can I take my current website through this API in Gamma and bring it into VS Code and Claude? Or does it only go out?
I want to make sure I'm understanding. When you explain that to me one more time, I feel like I understand what you're saying. I just want to make sure.
Sorry about that. We're building
no, you're
video
fine.
today, and
You're
so
fine.
the guys are on scissor lips. So I built this really great website in Gamma.
Okay.
All right.
Gamma.
Already done. But I'm also building an app in Claude for that website. But Claude built me kind of a generic version of my website, and I really would prefer to use my Gamma website. So I was wondering if there's a way to kind of reverse engineer that connection.
You could, yeah. So it would kind of be this same process. So two things, like I guess let me ask first, is that website deployed or are you just building it locally?
Yes, sir. It's deployed.
It's deployed. So what you could do is get that URL and just give it to Claude and have it look at that website, but it's going to feed all of the information it gets from that website into Gamma as in a request for the generate API, if that makes sense. And then all you're doing for one of the parameters is just selecting a web page so it can be presented as a web page. And that's it. Now, the only thing is, and for people who use Gamma like inside on the web, please feel free to correct me. In the API, you can't like remix it. So if you want to change, it will just be like a first generation. Then you would have to come into Gamma and like do that remix part to maybe change something, or you just keep kind of playing around with Claude until it gets that maybe one generation that you like and it doesn't change anything. Hopefully that was a good explanation.
Thank you.
Got you. So yeah, going into the perspective of like using it for different things, and I guess to kind of lead into that, Gamma has a page. I don't know if anybody has seen this page, and if not, before I keep going, maybe put this page in like the chat right here because I think it's supposed to serve as an inspiration in general. It's just for like prompts to spark your imaginations, stuff like that you can click on, and then they have like different categories and stuff like that. And then down here they actually have like workflow examples, and then you can actually like get the JSON here and actually download this and put it in whatever automation platform you're using, which is very cool of the Gamma team. So I guess going into like things like this, one, there might be something here that you can just grab and use and play around with depending on what automation platform it is. And actually, let's say, for example, like this, I think all of these are these all N8N based? Or I think some are like Zapier. So I just want to make sure. So like, let's say, I want to find one that's for, let's just use this make one as an example. And this can be vice versa, right? There could be an N8N one here and you use make. There could be a make one here and you use N8N. You can actually take this JSON and download it and just to kind of be a little technical here, a lot of this stuff we play around with is just JSON, which I'm not going to be too technical, but just get familiar with seeing that term. It's very common. Computers know it very well. So all I'm doing is opening up that JSON file, right, which is the entire automation, and uh, grabbing it right here. And actually, just to even give more an example, that was very terrible. More an example, that was terrible English. Let me come back here because this was make. I don't have make open. Let's open this one. So all it did, I know it happened very fast, but it just opened that JSON file in the same VS Code that I was in because that's where I chose to pick it. All I'm doing is next copying this entire JSON file. I'm gonna open another tab of my N8N. I'm going to create a workflow. And then I'm just pasting that JSON in there, that automation is, just to kind of give a visual. JSON is everywhere you go. You don't have, not code or anything, but just get very familiar with seeing that. If you see JSON, know that you can give that to Claude Code and have a conversation and say, hey, can you take a look at this JSON and convert it or help me build a, make workflow or N8N workflow? I want to transfer this and do that, just to kind of segue into the conversation of brainstorming about that. But in case of to show like an actual workflow, like an example, I had a client last year sometime who wanted me to build an automation where his transcripts from a device called Limitless, which is, I'm not sure if a lot of people have seen devices like this, and Miss Brittany will probably be able to speak on how cool it is.
It is really awesome.
There you go.
And Meta actually just purchased it not too long ago. So yeah, but it's a really helpful, incredible.
There you go. Look at that at the top, purchased by Meta. But it's this device that you wear like when you're in meetings. Oh, they changed the page so much. The other page was like really cool. It had like the device and you could see it and all that stuff. Jesus Christ. It's all like super simple now. Oh man, it kind of blew the moment away. But it's like this the device that you wear and it just like records your meeting. They're like Otter, but just like personally on you. So he has meetings all the time where he talks about AI and does a lot of stuff. And he wanted me to create him a small workflow where we pull those meetings. Now, granted, of course, this is like kind of second nature to me, but if I were to just to go into the mindset of uh, making a workflow with any other platform, right? So the first thing is if you're not familiar with API, that's fine. Just like how I went through the stuff earlier in the presentation, and I didn't even give it Gamma specific endpoint, even though I knew what that was. It just went to go do web research. Man, my grammar is so terrible right now. Web research, Jesus, and found that information out. Or you can, if you're on this page or do your own research, you'll be able to find that information, which is very easy, right? Takes a lot of the work out of the way. So even though I am a developer, yes, I'm kind of lazy. I just say, hey, create me a work. I don't even say create me a workflow. It's more so really getting into like some tips and tricks. What is available with this API that would even allow me to create this workflow, right? And most of the time, of course, they're gonna have like the things that you need, but that's really the first thing when you go into like kind of create any type of workflow or integration, right? So client says, hey, I want to grab meetings from here. Do they have an API? Yes. What does their API allow you to do, right? It allows us to get life logs and all this other stuff. I won't get into the technicals, but once again, you can give this to Claude Code and say, hey, create me something. So I wasn't using Claude Code at the time. I think I was just using and I like to actually show all these things. So let's just say maybe I can find this conversation if somebody's trying to join. If I type in limitless, maybe I delete a lot of conversations. So
Do you have a limitless device?
I do not have a limitless device.
Hmm.
No specific reason. I just don't have. I didn't even hear about it until this client told me about it. And I know there's another one. I'm not sure if Miss Brittany knows the name. There's another device like that. I can't think of the name, but I have gotten requests for like these devices to like automate them and pull the meetings because obviously it's not as easy if you don't know
Yeah, they
about
just
API.
came out with a ring too.
Yeah, I think that's the one that I've seen.
The Claude, that one.
It's like an actual wearable device, if that kind of makes sense, that you like put on you.
There's one that's actually sold at Costco now, a pin similar.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think my real estate client has that one. I just can't think of the name right now. But kind of same thing, right? I'm not using Claude Code here, but it's the same thing. I just put it in. Can you take a look at this API so I know how to use it? Even though I know how to use it, this may come as a surprise. I never speak to Claude like a developer all the time. I just speak to it super regular because I know how to like steer that conversation into what to focus on. I might let it ramble on a little bit or whatever the case may be, right? So same thing. It's just giving me an overview of what endpoints are available and things like that. And I want to say I'm being very vague here, which is some people might be surprised if they know how technical I am. Like I want to use this, right? And then it's just telling me what's available here, right? Okay, then obviously it's gonna like brainstorm. It's gonna do some stuff, give me some code, even though I don't want code, right? And then it's telling me like, hey, I'm just basically talking to, hey, well, I want to use a search today. What if I'm using N8N, right? How can I use the variable to only get the conversations of this day? Of course, I know this, but I do like to talk to it like this. And one, just for like simple examples like this, thank God I didn't uh, destroy this conversation. But even as a developer, like I think it's cool to use AI to just map out and print out stuff because you're probably going to feed it into another AI or just save that later on for something else that you build. And that's literally all I'm doing here, right? It got the information. Instead of me taking the time to actually be on the documentation page, right? I had it read the documentation page and just make all of those things for me, which then ended up resulting to this automation here, which I will run. And I'm just going through the data here, right? So this gets the meetings. Obviously, my client still pays for this. I won't go into like what it says here. I won't get into like all this information. He said it's okay that I do this, but this is getting all the meetings that he has from his limitless device. I'm splitting all of those meetings out, trying to organize them the best way they can. There's a lot of data here. I think I'm pulling like 5 items a day or something. I can't remember at this time because this is like in my testing environment. Uh, I gave this to him like months ago. N8N has like this thing called a table, which is like a database where you can store stuff in. So for some easy testing, I just put that in here. But I think for his actual automation, I'm putting it in Airtable. And then it just make me delete something that I didn't want to delete. I will come back to that. This thing's a little too sensitive. And then I'm just looping through all of the meetings that came through, waiting a little bit, getting each transcript from those meetings, waiting a little bit. This kind of goes into like what Claude was doing earlier when it was asking me for a API key for Anthropic, right? So I would have had a prompt that is a prompt here because he wants to make like a proposal template, right? So it'll make a meeting title, a meeting date, a transcript of all this stuff going on, and it basically makes this gamma proposal. And I think I ended up making this a template on his. I just cannot remember because it's been a while since I built this one. We wait again a little bit. I did get an error right here, which I have no credits, right? So this is not going to run. But then it would create this gamma. It would wait a little bit. Then it would get that gamma. And just to go through just some history before, when I did have credits, this all ran through. If there's more meetings, it will just loop through and pull those gammas. That's how I would, you know, come up with an automate or use Claude Code to help me come up with an automation for whatever platform it may be. Now, before I go into a next part, which is a little technical here, anybody have any questions about that so far?
Are you going to provide the JSON for this?
I'll give you guys the JSON for this if you want it.
What do you like? What do you practically use this for?
This one is not mine. I don't have a limitless account, so it's just I just have it here like in my testing folder in my N8N whenever I build stuff before I pass it off to a client.
Got it.
So next, going into like questions on building stuff and kind of to feed on what I think Eugene was saying this earlier. So if you haven't, you may have heard like a lot of these tools can create these automations for you, which is true because they are this JSON term that I keep referencing at the end of the day. But one thing that I think is really more important is obviously we all know this, if the models are not connected to a platform or actually have the right source or documentation, and we know that usually they're late about a year or 2 years on documentation, it's going to be a little bit off. So in terms of N8N, and I believe Make has one, I just don't think it works the way N8N, the N8N MCP that I'm going to show or other things show does. It's kind of very hard to use. So if you open up a tab and you type in N8N MCP server, there's a very popular server by this gentleman here. Now, I want to note this is not an MCP built by the N8N team. That doesn't mean that it's not safe or anything. There's a good, it's good to know who has official MCPs and who doesn't. Not trying to lead into the whole conversation of security, but it is important. This is a very popular, very well-developed MCP that basically has all of the nodes, all of the techie stuff that a large language model would need to use in order to connect and do Agrippa things. So if anybody doesn't mind, I don't mind showing how I would use this to connect to my Claude Code to build something in general, even if it's with gammas. We do have some more time here, or I can use another example. Up to you guys.
Are you on the GitHub?
I am. Am I sharing my? You can see my screen. Yes, I'm on the GitHub.
Yeah, again, I couldn't tell by some of the. Yeah, this is the by far the best of the N8N MCPs.
Right, you use
But
this
it's
one
better than the official N8N MCP,
which actually I think only reads stuff. It doesn't even create anything.
Right.
It's just to read.
What's the point?
Information. So I'm guessing from the silence that might be a yeah. So I'll go into like literally if you are wanting to use N8N MCP, how you would use that with Claude Code. So I'm just once again always going to keep it super simple as I can. So one, we're going to clear this conversation. That's a /clear, and I can't spell clear correctly. And it is not my friend right now. I just didn't close the conversation, which was. I think I'm just weirded out because of the VS Code layout. Okay, now I'm not tripping. I'm like, why didn't it just clear the conversation? Okay, that's going to clear brand new context and everything. I'm going to say, I'm interested in creating N8N workflows with the Gamma API. Can you read this GitHub and let me know if I can connect this MCP to Claude Code specifically? And I'm going to paste that URL there. I'm just going to let it read that URL and do its work. Now, I think I might bite myself in the butt because I actually, oh, no, I'll be fine. So I actually already have this installed as an MCP on my Docker, what the heck? My Claude desktop here. It's actually right here. But this file, obviously, like Claude desktop is its own app and Claude Code is its own app. It's actually not going to conflict, but just thinking about that right there. So I should be fine. So it's going to read this information. I'm basically going to tell us like, hey, this is this MCP. Claude Code supports it through this. We have a few options, a global configuration. So that basically means every time I start Claude Code, this MCP is going to be here and get started. And actually, I'm going to show a trick just in case you guys come to later meetings that I kind of do when I claude things in Claude Code, especially when it's like this. And I am going to share my API key on again, but I will delete that. So if you have Claude desktop installed, and you come here to settings, and you come here to connections, and you come to browser connectors, and you come to desktop extension. On Windows, you have something called the Windows MCP and the file system MCP, which I highly advise you download. Even if it's for small things like this, of course, you're definitely going to think of other ideas. Claude Code can do this exact thing because it has access to all your files. I personally find it easier to edit my Claude Code settings from Claude desktop. I don't know why I just like that. For Mac users, I believe the file system one works for you guys too. But in order for like to run commands, I think you need this control your Mac here. I could be wrong, but I think that's the one. And when you download the file system and you install this, um, there's gonna be basically you have to find your folder. So you can go in Claude and say like, how do I find the user path of my folder? And you will find a specific one for Claude. So I think like what I'm going to show you guys right now, I think it's roaming Claude for Claude Code, or it might be this one here, this dot. I think it's this one right here, this dot Claude. So when I can come to a new chat here, and even though I just set this in Claude code, I can say, hey, I want to configure this MCP to be global whenever I start Claude Code. Can you edit that for me? So I can put this here. It's going to do that same thing. It's going to read through that file. I guess I can't put my API key in here, even though I told you guys not to do that, only because I'm going to delete it later. I just don't feel like going into that file to change it. And that is because actually, yeah, going back to the whole thing, it's just easier to have Claude Desktop do that instead of like coming into your file folder and trying to come in here and change that stuff. If somebody finds a better solution, please let me know. I just, even for someone techie like me, I think this is just way easier. So you can see it saying, hey, I can read your files, right? You can, like the way they actually updated this.
You're already having conversations every day with client.
So it's showing all that stuff. So I say, I see you have your Claude settings. Currently it has permissions and plugins, but no global MCP servers configured, which is kind of funny. This is kind of wrong because I definitely do have global MCPs configured. I'm not sure what it's talking about. It's fine though. Think of this like adding that. So it says if you want to manage workflows, add these. And I'm just going to say, I just want to make sure, can I give you this and you can add it for me? I don't want to do it myself. All right. So, okay. Once again, I'm just saying this. This is not normally something you would do. I think next time I might have to have a separate resource showing like what file you go into, but I do want to just hone it, and you don't want to share your environmental variables with chats because they definitely do have the potential to spit it out again. I'm just here want to show an example of how you can use Claude Desktop or once again Claude Code to access different files to move things for you or set up that file, help you go to that file so you can put in that environmental variable, if that makes sense. So I'm having a slow moment here. I need to look for my API. Gonna create a new API. Just gonna name this Claude challenge again. Say, oh no, oh my God. I didn't press the copy button fast. Okay, two. Okay, thank you. And then we're gonna come back here. This is my key and my URL is this right here. And while that does that edit, if I come back here and I actually do /MCP to look at my MCPs, I see I have some MCPs here already, but we do not see the N8N MCP, right? So just to kind of follow through what that will look like once you know it's installed or how it's installed. So it's editing that file. See, this is what I mean. Usually this would take like super fast, Paul. It's like, I don't know why, it's super slow. Like it did, these ones reported like super fast, but thing is just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking for too much. So it says it's there, right? And now if I come back to here, once again, if I type in MCP, I won't see it here, which makes sense because even if I was to add that MCP here or do it the way that I just did it, you need to quit Claude Code and start it back up in order to see the MCP. And that's the same for any kind of platform that you use. So let's quit it. Let's restart it. Let's see if this is here. And I still don't think that I see it. No. Well, it says actually, it says 8 servers, but it, hmm. Let's do it one more time. That's funny. Hmm, okay. So we'll just come back to Cloud Desktop. I quit and restarted, but I still don't see the MCP. Are you sure that you added it in the correct location? And I will note that sometimes, I don't think it did it here, this will get it confused with like itself, which is Claude Desktop. So you always want to specify, like, make sure this is in Claude Code. So I'm just going to double check on this. And I think while that's kind of doing that, just to, 'cause I know I'm talking about, oh, terrible. Something's flying through my head right now. Make has an MCP server, but I don't think it works like the N8N one. I don't think it allows you to actually create anything. It's just more so sending information out there. And actually, that just made me think of another idea. I forgot. While this is, we're gonna let that try to do that. Going back to N8N here, talking about like workflows and stuff like that. N8N, if you don't know, is its own MCP. So if you, and I think they just added another level of how you can use it as an MCP, which if you use N8N, you should come here and click this. But if I'm right, if I come to my settings and go to this here, yeah, I haven't even, yeah, so this is the new one. I haven't used this one. Ah, so did they take away the other way you could use it as a MCP? Paul, do you know what I'm talking about? I think they did. Because you can also turn a workflow into an MCP as well. So, okay, I can't do that one because is this the Gamma workflow? No, maybe just because that's not fully set. So let me go to something that's oh, I haven't transferred everything here. I should, okay. Uh, everything's not, I keep forgetting this is my other, I should have this one. Yeah. Do you still at least allow me to do what I'm trying to show? Okay, that makes sense. So all I'm doing is switching into another N8N account. I'll just show 2 separate ones. I'm gonna do the same thing. Settings. Why does it not allow me to? I swear the new update for N8N is kind of annoying if you don't have a webhook because you technically can't publish and automation is kind of annoying. I'm trying to think of like a simple, the most simplest of examples that I can think of, but I cannot, they're doing me grimy right now. Maybe the toolkit I have one. Maybe I can just use this as the most simplest example. Thank you. Okay, yes, thank God. So you can make an automation in MCP. So the reason why I really wanted to show that is because you could have a webhook here, right? And have this sent by Claude to this webhook to whatever workflow that you have here. And actually, it wouldn't be the webhook while I'm saying that since I turned that on. And if I come back here to just this MCP one here, right? This is here. I think they changed. Yeah, they updated this. It's not as easy as it was before because at first they would just give you the URL specifically like to that workflow already, but I guess maybe the update that they did like made some improvements. I'm not sure what it is, but changed like the steps you would do in order to facilitate the process I'm trying to explain. But if you are using N8N, I would advise coming here and pressing settings, going to your instance level and reading the documentation. Same thing, you can take this documentation, put it right inside of Claude here and say, hey, how can I make workflows where we send this information here to the N8N MCP, which would run the Gamma workflow. Or you can choose just to do it locally inside of there. Yeah, I think that there's a good majority of everything. It's kind of funny I ran out of credits. I'd be happy to create some more stuff, but that test took me out of there. Any questions, Miss Brittany or Adrian, Blake, Alex, Chuck?
At this point, but you're being too polite. I'm not, you can't say Miss Brittany because it feels like I'm like 70 years old.
I'm sorry, I just I was just raised that way.
I know, I appreciate it. I'm just giving you a hard time.
But all that kind of, I know, like I said, the whole point was to kind of be hands-on, but as far as like explaining how we use Claude Code to create like workflow automations or use that within AN and anything in between, it's able to follow that, I hope. And I'm not sure if somebody has their hand up on purpose or it's an accident right now. Or I'm not sure if that's an error by Zoom, but I think that's all I have right now for using Gamma and Claude Code.
Well, thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah, this will as soon as the assets are done, it will be up on YouTube, and then I will have a blast that goes out from like the platform I use called Luma, where you guys can like access today and the 2 other days, and like every day I'll be posting them up on there. And if you guys want to join another build where I'm showing how to use Claude Code with something else and build something or just create something and get hands-on, you can do that as well.
Hey, Talon, did you send that blast out yet? Because I didn't get anything from Luma with the links to the other 2 days.
It didn't. Let me do this. Let me put the YouTube channel in there right now. And I know in about like 15 minutes, everything will appear on there. They have to make me wait to see if some stuff was copyrighted or something like that. So I had to end up switching something. But let me put that in there right now. And it'll be under a specific playlist called Claude Code for 30 days. So if you don't see it right now, come back like in a note for sure, like in an hour, and they'll all be there. I just put the YouTube in the chat right now. Oh, and actually, Adrian, for you, and we can talk about it later, or you can send me a personal message. I'm gonna put the GitHub in here for the NCA tool that I was telling you that I built, so you can test it. I think I forgot to give that to you yesterday.
Oh, that'll be awesome, man. And anything else that you can send ahead as a read ahead for tomorrow for this scraping session?
Okay.
That'd be
Yeah,
awesome. Any kind of prep, anything that anybody can or needs to kind of set up
yeah,
on their
download.
end.
Yeah, I'm making sure I get that.
Yeah.
I gotta send a message to the Gamma team right now because they owe me 10,000 credits. It's not like they haven't gave them to me. I just don't think they hit my account, and I'm gonna make that visual and stuff like you said. Like I already have the stuff that I want to make it. It's just now my credits.
Hey, Chowder, did you say you're going to have a playlist for this Claude Code? It's not there now, but you will
Yeah,
have one in probably an hour or so.
yeah. It'll
Awesome.
be there. Like so, I have the videos there right now. They're just private. I just need to turn them on. I was just waiting for like the transcript or whatever
Oh yeah,
YouTube checks like when I upload it because they're like 2 hours, if that makes sense. So yeah.
exactly. Yep, I'm familiar with that. But
Mhm.
cool, cool.
Got you. Yeah. So no later for sure than an hour they'll be there. If though for sure those two, and then after that, because this one might take maybe an hour or two to download. As soon as it's done, I put it right there. I'm not doing like any edits to it, any of these videos at all. I'm just downloading and putting it right up on YouTube. Got you. Well, guys, I appreciate you for staying this far. This is actually so far the only workshop where I actually ended on time and we didn't go over, which I don't mind going over. That's good. But of course, Gamma's not that too complicated as a tool. Um, I think in another session, probably build on top of this, or maybe have an entire session where I build like a some type of like internal tool with the Gamma API, like with the front end or something like that. But right now, I just wanted to show. I know a lot of people have stuff locally, or they're doing something like with an automation platform like that, and how you can have Claude Code create you something that's reusable on your device.
Sounds good, man. See you tomorrow.
Hey, see you guys. Have a good one.